Hey guys, Dr. O here, and it's great to see all of you in grade 5, and we're going to talk about water. So right now, obviously it's winter, and so it's difficult to see, but there's a lake behind me, and obviously that's one waterway. In the book you read, One Well, you learned about the many waterways that exist. There's lakes, there's streams, there's rivers, there's wetlands. We're actually going to take a look at a wetland down here and a stream as well. So it'd be kind of cool to see those things. First of all, I want to talk about snow. I know my class was talking about snow recently, and there's something about snow that most people don't quite realize. The fact that we're getting a lot of snow is great news. Why? Snow melts, right? Water exists in 3 states: solid, liquid, and gas. Snow is frozen water, and eventually it's going to melt in the spring and provide water for wildlife, plants, and animals. Both need water as you read in the book. So we're going to take you around. I want to take you to a couple different habitats that give you guys examples of water in our world, and we're going to touch base on how important water is. So here we have a lake, not a really large lake. There's actually a beaver den back there. You can't see, it's covered in snow. The lake itself is iced over, and in the book it talked about how fish live underwater. The ice on the top, the water on the top freezes. It forms a layer, sort of insulates the fish that are down below and keeps them alive. So we're not going to walk on the lake. We wouldn't take that kind of risk, and you shouldn't either. So we're going to take you to our next spot, and we'll have a chat there.
Yeah.
Hey guys, so this is Dr. O, and I'm in a new location. And actually, I meant to tell you, we're at Nipissing Forest Preserve right by my house. I come here often to hike. It's a really neat place, multiple habitats, including a prairie back there, which you really can't see. A native prairie filled with a lot of native plants, plants from this area, the lake, and then also wetlands. So I want to show you here something kind of neat. Over here to my left, your right, that's a huge wetland. So in the book, it talks about the fact that wetlands help clean water. And they're also, habitats or homes and places for animals to eat, to, raise their young, and to, find safety. So it serves 2 purposes: cleans water and controls flooding. That's a huge part of that equation as well in terms of water. You have a lot of homes in this area. So what they've done in a lot of areas up where Dr. O is living is to control water and water flow. They've maintained these wetlands. They've left them alone, which is a really smart move on local scientists and leaders. So again, this area is for, obviously it's frozen, but you have a specific plant life habitat. You can see those, and it goes off from quite a distance, and there's forest in the back. So that's kind of habitats right there. Clean water, homes for animals, and just a great habitat for all of us. So over to my right here, your left now, is the lake again. And so on the shoreline, there's specific plant life. Again, they've done a really nice job with the plant life. Another large body of water. These waterways are actually interconnected underneath this path. So they sort of, the water flows from the lake to prevent overflowing. It also flows into the wetland, and the wetland is able to absorb it. Back over this way too, there's multiple habitats: lake, wetland, forest, prairie, and then over there you have a oak savanna in the back, all those large trees. So this is just a wonderful area. And obviously all these plants are rewarded by having all this water nearby, the wetlands and so on and so forth. So there's a solid water supply in this area, guys. So next area we're going to see is the creek. Hey guys, Dr. O, and our third location, this is actually a stream or creek bed. Again, believe it or not, right by my house. I live about a mile in that direction. So I'm going to show you a few different things. This creek bed is obviously frozen. I'm here, by the way, it's about 12 below zero wind chill. We're very comfortable though. We're bundled up, so that's kind of neat. And it's actually really beautiful back here. I took my class here just last week, and I wanted you guys to see it as well. But a couple things. You see this creek comes right through this neighborhood. And Jay, you want to maybe get a shot down here? It's absolutely beautiful. And if you look down on the ice, actually, it's kind of neat. There's all kinds of coyote footprints. And so, something that's not in the book, certainly, this creek's being used as a means of transportation for coyotes. Obviously easier to walk, than on the shore with the deep snow. And so they use this as a means of transportation. So super cool. So one thing I talked about with my class is the fact that this creek is frozen on the top, but actually underneath the water is moving. So that's kind of interesting. So again, one thing when it comes to water, we talked about how wetlands control flooding. What happens in any waterway is when there's rain, precipitation, rain falls, and that rain eventually washes downward into these creek beds. And in the case of lakes, the water around that lake will wash into the lake. So in the book, it talks about some of the issues with that. That let's say I spray chemicals in this area to kill certain weeds or pests, which are small insects that are creating damage. If I spray those pesticides in that area, rainfall, some of that water can actually wash into this creek. So in the book, we talk about things. In the last few weeks, we've been talking about things we can do to protect our environment, and being careful and cautious about pesticides, maybe avoiding their usage. Water usage in general, another action we could take at home very easily. And then within this community, what are the things people can do to make sure they conserve and take care of this waterway? So those are some of the things touched on in the book One Well, and something we have to be conscientious of. This is kind of a cool area, guys. If I show you, there's an old farm over in that area, and then to the right we have an actual airport. So I'm going to take you back to a wetland just over here as well. And what I want to point about this area is that when we get back to this spot just about a quarter mile from here, you're going to see that there's tons of homes there. And what was really wise is they built hundreds of homes, but they maintain these areas. So literally a quarter mile from here, maybe even less, is somebody's home in their backyard in a small lake. And they kept it this way. And so you have sort of a balance between developing homes in a community, but also maintaining wildlife, maintaining a water infrastructure, and creating balance in our community. So one last stop, guys, and we'll be done for our water adventure.
There you go.
Okay. Hey guys, this is our fourth and final stop. I want to share with you another just a beautiful area, an important area. And this, if you see back here, this is just an enormous wetland that is right next to a community. So just beautiful area. And I know last week I took my kids on a field trip. We actually walked by those oak trees, which is pretty neat. But my point in sharing this with you is the fact that, again, the book talks about wetlands, how important they are for flood control, for cleaning water, for wildlife. And, it's just an enormous habitat. And what was smart about the people who developed this community, and one of the things that we can do moving forward as individuals, little things at home, saving water, but as we move forward, become leaders, making sure we maintain areas like this. If you look over to the right, you see there's a daycare center, and there's just tons of homes along that side. But again, they were wise enough, they easily could have decided to try and build on this wetland, but they said, hey, we want to maintain this wetland, we want to control flooding. So when you have homes like that, water cannot be absorbed in concrete and in the home itself. So the water has to go somewhere, and so that's where it goes, right? So a lot of it washes into that area. This area can hold a ton of water, and it's clean, and the area is safe, and again, it contributes to wildlife populations. We just saw a cardinal a moment ago, filled with wildlife. I can't even imagine how many snakes, mice, other organisms live in this area. It's just astounding. When my class came through here last week, we saw tons of signs of life. Coyote footprints. You might say, well, wow, that's all you saw was coyote footprints? Well, if you see coyote footprints, you know that there's other animals the coyote eats. So signs of life like footprints can be an indicator of other organisms. So that's a story in itself. I'll try and share another time. So guys, enjoyed spending time with you on this water adventure. We'll see you real soon. Have a great week.